once your spouse dies, preparing food, can be a lot of emotion. Hi, it's Sonia here with The Widow Life. I am in my bathroom today and I am going to be cutting my hair, or just the front of it. And disclaimer, I used to be a hairstylist many, many years ago. I always say in another lifetime because it kind of feels like another lifetime. So I'm just going to be cutting the front, but I'm actually not going to be talking about hair. I'm going to be talking about food and how that relates to widowhood, which hopefully some of you can relate to this, maybe you can't. And I'm not talking about like binge eating or eating disorders or anything like that, but just the fact of like, once your spouse dies, preparing food, can be a lot of emotion and just a lot wrapped up into that, as far as like shopping, emotion, things that you used to enjoy eating together or making for your spouse, all of that. So that's what I thought I'd be talking about. And while I'm talking about it, I will cut the front of my hair because today I have to go grocery shopping, and it just got me thinking about whenever I go grocery shopping these days. It's never been one of my favorite chores to begin with, but it always just kind of brings up a lot of feelings and things. Not that I'm, going to burst into tears. I mean, some people, it can be hard because maybe you went grocery shopping with your spouse together, or your spouse went grocery shopping and now the job falls on you. There's just can be a lot, or you could be in the store and you'll see a food item that your spouse loved, and now it's a constant reminder that they're not here anymore. So there just can be a lot, and I don't think, people don't really talk about it that much until, they're kind of put in that situation, when you become a widow, and then all these feelings come out about food, and you're just like, what's wrong with me? Am I normal? And probably most likely you are very normal. It just, there's little triggers. And for me, food can be a big trigger, because when my husband was alive, he loved eating, and he also had an illness. He had type 2 diabetes, so a lot of my food prep and grocery shopping really revolved around his illness. So all of our meals that I would prepare, would try to cater to his illness. And he also was a very picky eater. He would say he wasn't, but he really, really was. He just was very, very particular. So that was another issue that I had to deal with. And plus I had 3 kids, so buying for a family of 5 and trying to come up with foods that my kids would eat, my husband would eat, like meals that would kind of make everybody happy. It was a challenge. It was a challenge a lot. And I've never really had confidence in my cooking skills. And I know partly is because my husband was so fussy. And also with my family, I really didn't learn how to cook until I was 30 years old, to be honest. I mean, I could make basic things, like spaghetti, or, maybe like stick chicken in a crock pot or something like that. But I really didn't cook a lot. I was married when I was 21 years old, and I was a hairstylist. And so I worked a lot of evenings. So I wouldn't get home from work until like 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock, and I'm not going to be cooking that late. I mean, I didn't want to. I was tired because I was on my feet all day, and dealing with people, and I loved my job, but I'm more of an introvert, so I've learned about myself, like I like being around people. People don't think I'm so much of an introvert, but as I say, I fake it till I make it. So then when I would come home, I would just be so drained, because an introvert, they do need to recharge. And I've learned that about myself. It took me a long time to learn it, but I have. So yeah, I would just come home, be drained. I just wouldn't want to cook. So my husband would do basic cooking, or we didn't have kids until I was 28 years old. So, I really didn't have to worry about, cooking meals. And so we ate out a lot, or or he would cook, or we ate a lot of spaghetti, or just like box meals like Hamburger Helper. And at the time, my husband was not diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. That wasn't until, I guess he was in his 40s, early 40s when that happened. So that wasn't quite a concern, but he still was pretty fussy. So I just never had a lot of confidence in my meal prep skills. Like, I just felt like my siblings always were, more like super women as far as that goes. Everything was always so good, and then I would make something and it would be a flop. And so, yeah, it just, food prep, it's, always kind of, I'm always kind of like tense about it in a way. But so then, I learned to cook. I started learning to cook when I was 30, because then I became a stay-at-home mom. Had my first child when I was 28, and I did work after she was born. And then my son, when he was born when I was 30, he was quite a sickly baby, so I wasn't able to work. And then we ended up moving far away from where I had worked, and so I lost all my clientele. I had to quit my job. So yeah, and then we learned that it just wouldn't pay for me to work outside of the home. So I became a stay-at-home mom. So then I had to learn how to cook, and that was challenging, because having little ones and cooking and not being very confident in my skills, and like the internet wasn't as much of a thing. Like now you can like Google or YouTube, if you don't know how to do something, you can find it on there. But that wasn't really a thing back in the early 2000s as much. I mean, it was around, but we just, it wasn't like how it is today. So yeah, and then my husband got sick, and so then that brought on more challenges with cooking, and he could be a little bit critical. I don't think he always meant it to be, but I'd make something and it'd be like, well, it's good, but this could be added or that could be added. And I already had such low confidence in that arena that would just kind of really make me feel bad about my cooking skills. So then after he passed, that just, I didn't really feel like cooking. And fortunately, I was so blessed that people gave us a lot of food. I'm sure, that might have happened to you too. People don't know what to do when something happens like that. So a lot of times they're like, we must feed you. And so we had so much food where I really didn't even have to worry about cooking and preparing food for my kids for about 3 months, because we had gotten so much that we were able to freeze a lot of it. So we would just, open up the freezer and see what was in there. But then, that all stopped, and then I had to go back to real life and realize, okay, I got to go back to the store. So shopping became like, what do I buy? So I found myself either buying too much, too little, and then I didn't have to buy all the foods that I had to buy before because of his, dietary restrictions. So then it just kind of was like, what do I do now? And, and I'm still struggling 2.5 years later with the food thing. As far as now that my kids are older, I've got 2 that are young adults, and one's going to be moving out soon. And the ones that are young adults, like, sometimes they eat with me, sometimes they don't. So I could be having 4 people for dinner, or if they bring their boyfriends or girlfriends, like, it could be 6 people, or it could be 3 people, or 2 people, like, or it's just me. So trying to figure out what to buy has definitely been a challenge, and what to make, because like my husband was really picky, so I just didn't make things because I just knew he wouldn't like it, or he couldn't eat it because of his illness. So I guess some people could view it as a way of self-discovery in a way, and thinking about, well, what do you like to eat? Because a lot of it really wasn't about what I liked, because again, he was so picky, and I was the type of person that, I guess I'm more of a, I don't know what they say, love language or whatever, servant not that I like being a servant, but I like hospitality as far as, I want people to feel comfortable in my home, or I did hair, and I really wanted them to be happy with when their service, and that's just how I am. Like when my husband, he was in college when we were first married, so I worked a couple jobs besides cutting hair. I really liked being a cashier. I know that sounds weird and menial, but I liked trying to see what people, I liked seeing what people buy. I liked trying to get them out the door as quickly as possible, because most people, when they're in line, they just want to get out real quickly. And so yeah, I want people to, I wanted my husband to feel loved and to enjoy the food I was making. But it was just a challenge. So I'm still finding it to be a challenge. Like, I need to go grocery shopping today, so I try to make a list. I try to ask my kids, what would you like to eat, and then buy accordingly. And also I'm on a budget too, because I am on a fixed income. I am blessed right now. Everybody always wants to know, what do you do for money? Because I was a stay-at-home mom. I did do hair in my house for about 9 years, and then after I stopped working in a salon. So I worked in a salon for 13 years, and then I did hair in my house. I guess it was about 10 years, I guess. And that was, just very part-time. So, and then I did work at a bank for a bit. So I've had different jobs. I don't have a college degree, so fortunately I don't have to work outside of the home right now. I'm able to make do with, we did get some life insurance, and there's a little bit of Social Security because of my situation, and now that's not a permanent solution. So, I will need to figure out probably in about 2 or 3 years about my next steps in life, which, it's always on my mind, and food plays a part of it, because food can be expensive, and, and I don't like wasting. I don't know, I just have a thing with that. So that has been such a challenge of what to buy, how much to buy, what to make since he passed. Because also my husband, he was a very large man. He was 6'5", and weighed about 260. He was a big guy, so he ate a lot. So we needed to buy a lot of food. Like if we bought, let's say, grapes. Most people, like now when I buy grapes, that's one bag's plenty for a family of 4, because my kids, two of my kids are tall like their dad, but they have more of a slighter build, and they just don't eat as much as he did. So one bag of grapes is perfectly fine for all of us. But when my husband was here, one bag of grapes was mostly for him, and then I'd have to buy another bag for the rest of us. So yeah, like I'll still find myself with old habits of like, okay, I have to buy so much food, and then it hits me like, oh, he's not here, I don't need to do that. So I'm sure some of you are, struggling with some of that too. And with us, I just wanted to share, if you are struggling, you're not weird, or if you're getting triggered when you're in the grocery store. I do okay when I'm in the store, but sometimes, like, there's one grocery store that was one of his favorites, and it would be on his way home from work, and so often he would stop there. Drive me crazy, because even though he was supposed to eat healthier with his type 2 diabetes, he loved the snacks and the treats. And then this one store that we go to, it's a discount grocery store, and it's been a huge blessing in my life. I'm so thankful that we have it, because it's helped me to save so much money. But it was one of his favorites, so he would stop there and then buy all the snack foods that he really shouldn't have, and then come home. And so I'll be in there sometimes, and I'll just remember, like, oh, he would have loved this deal, or he loved this, or, and it just kind of gets you down that, it just triggers you, it gets you down that, like, trail of what you've lost. So yeah, it can be hard. Or I'll be in the store and I'll see somebody calling their significant other and say, hey, do we need milk? And my husband used to do that a lot. He'd be at the store and be like, do we need milk? Do we need butter? And I don't have that anymore. And it's those little things that can kind of, trigger you and just set you down, one of those grief, like I call them like a grief storm. Like it'll just kind of set me off a little bit. It's not as bad as it was, because again, it's 2.5 years, and I'm learning you never get over the loss, but you learn to, getting a little emotional now, you learn to move forward. I don't like the saying moving on, I hate that saying, because to me moving on means you leaving something behind, and he'll always be in my heart, so I'm never going to leave him behind, but I do have to learn to move forward in life, because I'm still here, and I know at the end of the day he would want me to. So, when I'm in the store, I have to learn how to move forward and just try to figure out it's like a food journey in a way, of things that, I can make things that I like, or I don't have to be so restricted about things. So like one of the things, for example, my husband hated garlic, which was actually really good for you, but we liked it, so I just never cooked with garlic for years. So now, since he's been gone, I'm like, I can make things with garlic. Not that I like my food completely saturated with garlic, but it does add a lot of flavor, and I do like it. So I still catch myself like making something, adding garlic, and be like, oh no, Bill wouldn't like that. And then I'm like, wait, no, I can have it. And my kids do like garlic too. So, it's just little things like that, you might find yourself kind of struggling a little bit, or, having these little, trying to find my razor for my hair. Sorry about that. Found my razor, so let's finish this up. So yeah, I was just talking about like kind of, realizing that I can make things now that, doesn't revolve around what my husband liked. So I've been kind of rediscovering that, and like I said, with the garlic and other foods. And I'm also, fortunately I've been in relatively good health, so I don't have really too many dietary restrictions. I am allergic to pecan nuts, so can't have anything with that. But other than that, I'm pretty fortunate. So since he passed with the whole food thing, I've been kind of just rediscovering things that I like, trying things, and my kids have been very encouraging. I've had Thanksgiving at my house since then. People said the food was good, so that was also encouraging too. And so I'm kind of realizing that maybe I'm not as terrible in the kitchen as I thought I was, because my husband was, as I said, a bit critical with that, because he just was so crazy fussy. And it wasn't just with me, like he was like that in restaurants. Like I actually really think his illness and medications he was on really messed up his taste buds, because he really wasn't like that so much when we were younger. He was always picky, but it just, his last few years of his life, like things that he used to really like, then all of a sudden he would be like, I don't like this, or it tastes weird, and I'd be like, it tastes the same as it always has, and the kids would be the same way, and he would insist upon that it wasn't. And so I really do think his illness, and he was on a lot of different medications, so he was on 7 different medications for his diabetes, and trying to get it under control, and so I really do think that messed up his taste buds. And he also did struggle with depression. He had a lot of mental health issues as well, and I do think the medicines played a role in that as well. And so yeah, so the whole food thing, I just wanted to share that, if you're going through it yourself, you're not alone. And it's this whole widow journey, or if you're a widower, it is, it is a journey. It's not one we really wanted to take. As I say, it's an adventure. It is an adventure, and it's usually not a fun one. But here we are. We have to learn how to, forge a new life. And part of that is food. So, yeah, I just wanted to share that with you. I'm about done my hair. I'm not doing anything too crazy. Just wanted to trim up the front. I don't dare try to do the back because my hair is really straight, as you can see, and oops, I'm dropping stuff. And I don't want it all messed up. So this is what I usually do. And also, as I said, I'm on a budget, so any way I can save money, I will usually only get my hair cut in a shop, because all of my hairdresser friends that I had in the past, like, again, I live in a different town, and some of them have since retired too, and they don't do hair anymore. So I don't have those connections like I used to get my hair done. I used to swap, like I would, color somebody's hair and they'd cut my hair, we would help each other out, but I don't have those connections anymore. So I'm kind of on my own. So I only get my hair cut once a year to save money. But yeah, I think that's everything that I have today. I think the hair is about as good as it's going to get. But yeah, that's everything. So I just want to encourage you that if you are struggling, especially in the area of food, trying to figure out your new life, what that looks like. You're not alone. Just do the best that you can do. I'm still, 2.5 years in, and I'm still finding myself struggling, as I'm actually going to dry my hair and head off to the grocery store. But I just want to encourage you, just to hang in there and, do the best that you can. And as I always say, be the best you that you can be. And I will catch you next time.